This is my Alz story. Welcome back everyone to To End Alz. Today's story is going to be my Alz story. For those of you who are newer to the Alzheimer's community and aren't sure what that means, basically my Alz story is a quick way to say and explain how somebody has been impacted by Alzheimer's. So that's what today's video is going to be dedicated to. It's going to be a hard video for me. It's taken me 4 years to really feel comfortable talking about this. 4+ years if I add in my grandfather who had Alzheimer's. My mom is in her 6th year now. In my first few years, I had a really hard time. I didn't really talk about it. I actually shoved it into a black hole, and I'm hoping that by talking about it, we all feel a sense of comfort and we all feel inspired to talk more, because the more we talk, the more awareness is raised and hopefully the more funds for research and eventually a cure to end Alzheimer's. Before we begin, I want to mention this chair that I'm sitting in. This was my mom's chair. So the fact that it's a family chair gives me such a sense of comfort in such an uncomfortable and challenging video to film. This has been in the family for probably 50 or 60 years. Obviously it's been reupholstered. Our family has a thing for blue. But there's such a sense of comfort in me sitting in this chair, and I'm really glad that it's here for me to sit in for this video. The next thing I want to mention is my parents and I absolutely had many discussions about this video and this channel, and I wouldn't be doing this if they weren't completely aligned, if we weren't completely aligned on what we're doing. My mom is incredibly inspirational and brave despite this devastating disease, and so I want to be inspirational. I want to be brave for her too, for in the years that she won't be able to be brave anymore. So welcome to my Alz story. I'm going to keep it to 2011, 2012, 2015, and 2017. I hope that this is therapeutic for you. I hope you feel less alone by watching this video. Yeah, let's do it. Back to 2011, whenever my husband and I were engaged and we were planning our wedding. So we lived in Santa Monica at the time. My parents lived in Illinois. The wedding was going to be in Chicago. So obviously, the mother of the bride really wanted her to help out with a lot of the tasks. Unfortunately, though, we started to recognize that she was having problems with the tasks that we wanted her to help with and the things that she wanted to help with too. She really started recognizing the symptoms on her own. The reason why she started recognizing the symptoms was because her father had Alzheimer's too, and in the last, few years of his life, her and her sisters basically took turns going to Arizona, Sun City, Arizona, to take care of him and basically make him feel as comfortable as possible in the later stages of his Alzheimer's. So, because my mom spent so much time with him, she started recognizing the symptoms within herself, which was very, very scary. Let's fast forward to the wedding now. Already I'm noticing a difference in her confidence. I remember being in the bridal suite with her and wanting her to participate a little bit more in just, helping with my dress and helping me put my everything on. And she definitely did it, but there were certain moments where she didn't know if she should be in the room. She didn't feel comfortable being around all these people. I think she was a little lost, and in the moment I was very confused by it and slightly frustrated. But looking back, now I know that it was the Alzheimer's, and her confidence was just shot. And so that was hard. Fast forward a couple of months later, my parents are actively testing my mom at a research facility in Illinois for the Alzheimer's, and the results come back that she indeed, in the fall of 2012, was diagnosed with dementia or early onset Alzheimer's. She was 60 at the time. The actual diagnosis and sharing the news with my family wasn't much of a surprise. It was still extremely heartbreaking though. You think about how my dad must feel because he's essentially going to be her caretaker for the rest of his life. How she must feel, the fact that she knows what her destiny is going to be. She just saw it with her father, you know, like 5-10 years earlier. And we didn't have much hope. How can you, with a disease that has no cure? We were pretty heartbroken. To 2015, my parents had pretty much relocated to Florida. My mom retired from being a CPA. My dad is thinking about retiring from farming, which is completely unheard of. And essentially they're trying to simplify their lives so that they can be as stress-free as possible while living in Florida for the most part. While living in Florida, my mom's neuropsychiatric research facility in Illinois, where she was originally diagnosed with Alzheimer's, recommended that they get in touch with a neuropsychiatric facility in Florida where they lived. Part of that reason is because there are programs available that my mom could potentially participate in, which could have a drug that stops Alzheimer's in its tracks. All of these research facilities that are running these programs haven't been federally approved yet. So obviously there's a risk involved with getting involved with these research programs, and then of course there's plenty of testing that has to be done before someone can be accepted into the research facility. Just the fact that my parents though moved away from their hometown where they met in, where they grew up in, where they got married in, where they raised a family in, was pretty groundbreaking because I never thought that they would move away from our hometown. They're living in Florida now. They hear of this research facility, and so they go ahead and start getting tested to see, and I say they because my dad has to be there for all of my mom's tests. He has to be the baseline to prove out whether or not what my mom is saying is true or not. So without that caregiver with you, that consistent person, it's really, really hard to get accepted into one of these research programs. And thankfully, my mom has the best caretaker in the entire world, my father. So my mom starts getting tested with my dad there to be potentially accepted into this program. She's accepted. Program that she's accepted into is called the Engage and Emerge program, where for 18 months, she would get an infusion, and it would either be placebo or it would be a dosage of the drug. We will never know what sort of dosage she was getting, which is slightly nerve-wracking, but of course makes sense. She's accepted into the program. Obviously there were concerns with that. We were concerned about whether or not she was going to have a random side effect, if she was, if it was going to progress her Alzheimer's, if it was going to do anything at all. We didn't know. So the worst symptom that we'd heard of was headaches. So we're like, this could be too good to be true. They feel confident enough with it after many conversations. They agreed to it. So my mom was accepted into it. We're incredibly grateful for that. We don't really know if it's doing anything, but if it is, that's fantastic. So my mom started the infusions in February of 2016, and she got those infusions until earlier this year in 2017. Once she was finished with the 18 months of her program, the great thing is that all of the participants who were involved in those 18 months were able to get access to the drug. Naturally, my mom started those infusions, and today is the third time she's getting that monthly infusion for sure of the drug. Now, along those 18 months, we definitely have had moments where we were like, she could be the same. She could be not progressing at all. That's amazing. But then there were definitely other times where she was definitely very lost. And those times happened when she was in Florida, like when we were with her. And then she would repeat a lot of stories, especially when our daughter was little, and she's 2.5 now, but when she was, you know, nursing, she would explain a lot of really random stories about like nursing. It was really, really cute. There was a moment earlier this year in May 2017 when we were at my aunt's 70th birthday in Chicago. It was amazing. It was a great time. But in those moments though, you can really see when my mom has progressed. When you take her out of her comfort zone of Florida and put her in another time zone, in another city, she's extremely, extremely lost. There were moments where she would just turn to us and say, "Where are we?" And we would, you know, we would tell her, and she'd be like, "Great, it's great to be here." And then a couple minutes later, "Where are we?" And so in those moments, you're definitely thinking to yourself, yep, my mom has Alzheimer's. And then there was a moment late at night when we were in Chicago at our Airbnb. We were lucky enough to stay all together, which was really fun. One night though, and this is pretty typical with someone who has Alzheimer's, I believe it's called sundowning, where the evening part is just more challenging for them. And my mom came upstairs and she had her toiletries in her hands, both of her hands. She's carrying them. She has her PJs on, and you could tell she's just so lost. She's walking around and she doesn't know where the bathroom is. This is a brand new place. She doesn't know where anything is. My dad eventually helps her with, you know, getting herself ready for bed and everything. Whenever we were in Chicago though, being around all our family, it's extremely heartbreaking whenever we're all talking and mingling and having fun and she's sitting by herself and just not able to follow a conversation, and you know, doesn't remember the last conversation that she had with you, and she doesn't remember your child's name. That's when you have that moment where you're upset because you don't know. You're like, why is this happening to my mother? One of the most amazing people in the entire world. The most caring, kind, brave, inspirational. Why is this happening to this person? And this is why this channel exists. This is why I'm stepping up and doing something, because she deserves it. Your parents deserve it if they have Alzheimer's. You deserve it because you're not dealing with it, but coping with it. We all deserve a cure. And Alzheimer's doesn't choose a class. It doesn't choose a type of person or an ethnicity or a gender. It's affecting everybody, and we have to do something about it. In that moment, that was one of the more heartbreaking moments, because, and I'm sure that's nothing compared to what a lot of you have already experienced with your loved one with Alzheimer's. Please just know that it's even seeing my mom in that phase where she's just totally lost is really hard. I'm losing my mom, and I'm losing someone who I thought would be here for years and years and years and would be that guiding motherly light for me with my child. And it's just a very different life than I pictured. What's helping me here though is she's so brave. She's so brave because she's doing this research program, and not only is she doing it for herself, she's doing it for millions and millions of people. So if what she's doing is actually helping, she could be a part of a group that's just groundbreaking, The Neuropsychiatric Center of Southwest Florida is one of the best centers in the entire country. And so the fact that she's even a part of that group is pretty wonderful, and we're incredibly grateful. I want to just make sure that I'm sensitive to everybody who's in their own phase or, you know, timeline of having their loved one go through Alzheimer's. We're probably in the middle phase. So obviously there's going to be more chapters, there's going to be more videos with more updates. So watch out for those. The best we can do, the most we can do day to day at this point is just put one foot in front of the other, enjoy every moment that she has left. Like I said, the doctor gave her maybe 5 to 10 years of a good life left, and she's in her 6th year now and she's still able to take care of herself. So we are incredibly grateful for that. So that's it. That is our Alz story. Thanks so much for sitting in and listening to it. Please ask questions. If there was anything that I didn't touch on, this was incredibly short. I was trying to shove 6 years of our lives into hopefully a very short video. So I'm sure there are details that I missed. If you have any questions or anything, definitely feel free to comment below or go to our Instagram, To End Alz. I'm happy to answer them there or in a video. We'll see what the comments say. Lastly, if somebody who you know has a loved one with Alzheimer's, then perhaps this channel might be helpful for them. Feel free to share it with them, and feel free to subscribe so that you don't miss any videos moving forward. Hopefully we create a really nice, helpful, loving, inspirational community here, and let's keep it positive, yeah? All right, thank you all for joining, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.